Joker of Better Bachelor. And Joker, the first question I asked you back, the first thing I want to tell you is I really, really appreciate you making time for us today, man. This has been a long time coming, and I'm glad I was able to get you on. So I appreciate you coming on.
It's my pleasure to be here. I know that a lot of times from reading and watching a little bit of your stuff, we have kind of two different angles, kind of attacking the same problems. And I think yours is to try to solve the problem, and mine is to just say it's not even worth me hassling with and walking away from the problem. But means to an end, right?
Absolutely. And I think what a lot of people are starting to understand in terms of the red pill community, the MGTOW community, to me, they're one and the same, is that there are many different personalities. And the reason, one of the first things I discovered about you is that you and I are like-minded. Our delivery could not be more different. I'm loud and I'm all over the place and I'm getting banned and hiding my videos. And you're just like, I wish I had your coolness sometimes, but sometimes my temper just betrays me.
Well, the trick of it is it's he who cares the least wins, right? That's been what I did a video on that even. And so I don't get too wrapped up and I don't get too fired up because again, I think your mindset is, how do I teach men what signs do you look out for when you date somebody? When you say this, you're going to lose value with her. When you say this, she's going to respect you more. And how do you navigate through it? For me, a lot of it is maybe that's 5 or 10%, but more for me, it's telling guys, here's what you're getting into, whether you're good at it or bad at it or anything else. Here's everything you're getting into. And if you know the statistics and you know the way things work out, there may be a big part of us, or at least myself being one of them, that did that. And then at a point I said, yeah, this is an awful lot of energy for very little return. I think I'll spend my money or my time on making money and time on myself. And again, means to an end. The whole goal is to be happy.
Sure.
It's just, how do you get there? And do you do it by yourself? Do you do it with a couple of dates, lots of dates, 100 dates, or one woman? Or it's just different semantics. That's all.
I totally agree. Carl K in the chat says Donovan wants to negotiate the gynocentric system. Joker sees it for what it is. He used the wrong word. I'm not trying to negotiate anything. I'm trying to navigate it. And that's the question I wanted to ask you, because to me, there are two, I don't want to say two groups, but men, red pill aware men, generally fall in one or two-ish categories. There are men like myself who are like, okay, I want hot girls. How do I do it? You spend years learning how to do it. And then some men say, you know what? This isn't worth it. Like, okay, I want to see, but it's not really worth the effort I'm putting into it. Where do you fit in terms of those two groups, if any at all? If not, what do you consider yourself to be?
So I was lucky as a young guy in that I've always been pretty good shape. I look younger than I am. I'm knocking on 50 here in 2-3 more years. Oh, cool. And so I've always looked young. I've always been in very good shape, and I've always been able to spit a little bit of game. So I never really had to learn this. I was comfortable with girls. I always did well with girls. But after a while, I realized that when you think back to when you had the most fun in life, when were your best days? When was life the most full, awesome it could be? Right. And I realized it was hanging out with my friends, fooling around with girls when they came into your life, not really thinking a lot about that, not putting that on my plate, so to speak. Right. And if it kind of got thrown at me, you enjoy it and then you move on. But my focus was never directed towards women. Then when you get a little bit older and you say, I don't want to be alone for the rest of my life, because the blue pill world is like that. And you say, maybe it's time, before I get too old, maybe I need to find somebody. And you start navigating that route. And in the end, I'll tell you something. If you were to take a chastity belt and lock it on a woman, duct tape her mouth, so not, so she could still talk, but she can't do any favors for you. Sure. If you take away the 2-3 favors that a woman can do for you, what's left? And when you really look at all that, you say, well, friendship, or someone to hang out with, someone to spend my money, someone to tell me how to decorate my crap, someone to tell me what I can and can't buy. In the end, you go, geez, man, I for those two things, or for one really main thing to help me enjoy myself for, half an hour a day, do I want to change the course of my life for that? And I got to tell you, man, for me, the answer is no. Now, I tell everybody it's like a cheese pizza. I don't sit around thinking about cheese pizza all day. I don't change my life to go get cheese pizza. Sure. But if a cheese pizza is set in front of me and somebody says, you want some cheese pizza? I'll have some cheese pizza. I'll enjoy myself with that.
That's
But
a
you know what I mean? But then I put it aside and going on about my life. And that's kind of how the way I navigate it.
Years ago, I was the guy who went to the pizza joint, right? Like
we all were.
Right. Like life was all about cheese pizza for me. But somewhere along the way, I still like cheese pizza. I didn't enjoy the drive as much.
It came with a whole lot of toppings, a lot of BS you weren't ready for. You know,
I had to tip the driver. I don't need any of that stuff. It sounds like you've never really had problems with girls, but yeah, right. I mean, what was the event or series of events that led you to the red pill?
Would probably be after so I was married very young, 21.
Oh,
21, 22. I was right fresh out of the military, met a girl. She was beautiful. She did part-time modeling for like a JC's Penney's that was in the local ads. This is going way back when, you still had zones of the country that didn't talk to other zones before the internet. But she was also a hairstylist. She was real pretty, funny, interesting, all blah, blah, blah. Went south real quick. She left me for Alpha guy that had lots of money and scratch. And he was a little bit older, and then dated casually, had a couple serious more relationships that either got cheated on or something bad happened. And I can't say it wasn't my fault. You act like a little too blue pill, a little too simp. They leave. They lose their interest. And then married for a second time to a biologist. She was very smart. She was the opposite of the first one. Okay. But I found, and then after that one was my very last relationship, where I realized after a little while that you could take a woman to you could take her to the theater, but she wants to go to a better theater, and you can take her to a nice dinner, but she wants the better dinner. And you can take her to a vacation, but she wants a different, better vacation. Right. And after you do that enough times, you always have to up yourself. Because you can't ever reset. No. The ground keeps moving up underneath you. So after a time, almost in any relationship, the longer you're together, the more likely it is to fail, where the new guy is mystery and interesting. Oh, yes. And I learned that firsthand. And once I kind of internalized that and sat back and said, all right, I get it. I understand the game now. That's kind of what set me down, at least researching this stuff. And the biggest thing that changed my mind on a lot of it was understanding philosophy, ego, and doing, study on why do people think the way they do? Why do they do what they do? And this, I mean, the video you were just analyzing on your other thread, you're saying, okay, you see how he answered, look at her body language. And well, when you learn that for how society works and how society thinks, you realize that is a game you can't win. You can only play it for a short period of time, at least in my mind. Right. You can only play it for a short period of time with this one person. Then you got to and start over, because starting over is easier than trying to continually up and ramp up that relationship. So,
do you feel that there are fake red pill guys out there? In other words, guys who sort of parrot off of other people's work, guys who read a couple of blogs and all of a sudden they think that they're experts on women. What do you think of guys like that, if you're even aware that they exist?
Well, hell, you could probably say that I was, when I first came to YouTube, I saw those guys and I said, oh, they've got some interesting ideas and takes on things. And so I said, well, let's talk about this. And, as I put videos out, there's times I'll put a video up, I'll post it, and I'll go looking around and I go, oh, you just did a video on this 2 days ago, man. But our takes are different.
Right.
So there may be some guys that glam on a little bit, but I think that people can genuinely tell the difference between, okay, this guy really has done this stuff, or he has lived it, or he understands the truths of it. And then there's other people that may just be parroting things. And I think you can tell that the channels that survive and those that don't, or the ones that thrive and those that don't, because you can tell it's I don't know, you can tell people are faking it or not. The ones that I have problems with, yes, there are some women that really do understand maybe the guys going their own way kind of contact. But the thing is, when they're wearing the low cut thing and they're giving their speech, you go, your words are all right, but you're visually playing up, and come on, you're just fishing for subs now at this point.
Right.
You don't ask a fish how to catch a fish.
Nope.
You ask the fisherman. So, you don't go to a woman and listen to her about men's content. You just don't. It doesn't make any sense.
Dude, and men who do that always end up still blaming the men when.
But the way I look at it is red pill is the entry to being your own man, understanding the rules, knowing the way the world works, and you have just begun to see how the other half lives. Okay. And because there's a truth. You can understand women or you can love women. You can't do both. So I think red pill is, I now understand women, and That's, again, from the Matrix and seeing the other side. Where the MGTOW community comes from, I think, is it's red pill, but moving a little bit further, which is, the red pill community and some guys that watch my stuff, guys that watch your stuff, they'll say, okay, I know the game and I understand it, but I'm willing to still play the game. And it means I'm still willing to put out there. I'll put in a little bit of work. I might make some phone calls. I'll get in Tinder, whatever. But I'm still going to try to date and get some action. And kind of when you get a little bit deeper, MGTOW, at least for me, is, or it seems from my community of watchers, means we're done. Like, yeah, some of us may still casually date. Some of us may still even be in short-term relationships, but I'm not budging 1 inch from my course. Okay. I'm not going to install an app necessarily. Some will, but sure. But my goal is here, and this is where I'm going to, and I'm not going off that track for any reason. Where I think some, not all, some red pillars are still, I want to date. I'll go through a couple of hoops to get there. Where I think guys that are kind of doing their own thing say, I'm just not going to put any effort into this. I don't care enough.
What are your thoughts on are you of the mind that the internet is evil and that it's destroyed the world? Or do you think that even though it's destroyed the sexual marketplace, it does still have its utilities? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, here's it's kind of funny because I was around at the invention of the internet. Two colleges were really excited. They could share electronic mails back and forth to each other. And we had the promise of, the internet. You won't even have to go to college anymore. You don't have to be smart. If you ever need to know something, it'll be online, shared by all these other smart people and wonderful. And then all of a sudden you got people that are licking toilet seats to show how tough they are against coronavirus. That's really where we are. It didn't make everybody brilliant. It made them exceptionally stupid. And once it hit the handheld, oh, forget about it. So the truth is, I think as far as dating goes, as far as relationships goes, the internet has ruined is a tough word. I'd say changed for the worse. Okay. But if, for a guy like myself, I can hole up in here, or if I'm in a big city, like when I used to live up in North Carolina near Raleigh, I could open my app.
I'm sorry. Let me stop you right there. Dude, yeah. I lived in North Carolina on and off for 20 years, dude.
Yes. So I was in Raleigh. I worked at an RTP for one of the network engineer up there.
Dude, I worked in Morrisville at a company called Value Options.
Man. Yeah, I know Value Options. Yeah.
Holy shit, man. Wow.
As a matter of fact, my apartment was about 3 miles from Morrisville. So
get out of here. Wow.
Yeah. 14 years.
Wow.
I probably bumped into in half the bars down in down on not Franklin Street on what's the main drag through Raleigh there?
Oh God, Capitol Boulevard.
Yes, on Capitol. Yep.
Absolutely, man. It's all fucking world, man. All right, my bad. Finish your.
No, it's all good. So the fact that I can pick up a phone and I can set my location because I'm flying to Thailand in 2 weeks, so I set my location there by paying $10 to Twitter or whatever, and I start swiping, and I've got a match, and I can chat her up, and we're hot, ready to go. She gets me from the airport. We go to her place, get a bite to eat, go to her place, and have fun. You couldn't even dream of doing something like that before the internet. So there's the good. Then there's the hookup culture, which again, if you're willing to be single and you just keep yourself safe and use your brains, it's like a buffet. It's like a buffet out there for you. That's good. But as far as finding somebody for a relationship, it's made it virtually impossible. Because if you say, hey, I'm a 5 guy and I'm looking for a 5 girl, that's all my expectations are in life. I don't need anything crazy. Just want someone that's sane and normal. Well, that 5 thinks she can get a 7 or an 8 because she got 7 or 8s, thirsting for her because she showed a booty pic or whatever. So it's thrown off the marketplace. And so I think there's the good and the bad. It's good for the guys being single, good for the guys being in the short-term relationship. It's bad for anyone that wants to have marriage or anything else. And as far as connecting with the world, as long as you know how to filter out the poison, you go on Twitter. I mean, I follow you on Twitter. You wouldn't know me because I have 0 followers and it's some random, because I never post because I could give a crap about Twitter, but I read things. Sure. And, when you're on Twitter, depending on who you follow, it's a poison pill. And if you really don't understand that 2% of the world is what's posting on there, you think the world was ending tomorrow and that it's fallen off a cliff. So I think when you have to understand the dynamics of it, or else you drive yourself crazy.
it's just like women. Like, and I've always maintained this: women are they're terrible and all this and that and the other, but women are not inherently evil. They're neither good nor bad.
Opportunists.
Yeah, right, exactly. And we as men, we're opportunists, just in sort of a different way. Kind of stuff. What are your thoughts on true, I guess, red pill women who really don't buy into feminism? Can they stem the tide, or are they always going to be the minority?
Well, I think they're always going to be the minority for sure, especially with things the way they are today. But if the good women, there, for me to say that no women are good would just be ridiculous. There are wonderful women out there. There are women that want to get married, but to know and understand hypergamy, that is in all women. Just like to know and understand men and fat booties and big boobs. Right? It is a thing, and you can say all you want against it, but it's something that's it's ingrained in you. So to understand it, if a guy sees a woman, he'd be like, man, I would love to hit that, but I'm married and I got kids and she's a good wife and I don't want to get caught. And I understand all the repercussions. And so I won't, but I'll think about her later. Well, hypergamy is the same thing. It's, man, he's a doctor, he's cute or whatever. He's cute, he's good looking, he's successful, he's flirting with me, man, but I got a husband that I love and takes care of me, and I'm going to stay with him and just think about him later. That part, the whole think about it later, is gone. Now it's whatever opportunity is there, I'm going to go for. So there are women that understand what they are feeling and that they understand it and they deny it. But those are getting fewer and fewer and fewer.